You're already breathing it in, and it hasn't even erupted yet. Somewhere beneath your feet, pressure is building. Quiet, invisible, patient. And scientists know it's there, but they can't stop it. What happens if it finally breaks? Right now, under Wyoming, a massive system known as Yellowstone is sitting on a pool of molten rock so large it defies imagination. But here's the strange part. It's not the lava that makes it dangerous. It's everything else. Most people imagine rivers of glowing magma crawling across the land. Slow, predictable, survivable. But Yellowstone doesn't play by those rules. Because Yellowstone is a supervolcano. And that word changes everything. A normal volcano releases pressure in bursts. A supervolcano stores it for thousands of years, then releases it all at once. But here's the real question. If it erupted tomorrow, would you even have time to react? Scientists say Yellowstone has erupted 3 times in the last 2 million years. That sounds rare, until you realize what each eruption actually did. Entire landscapes erased, continents reshaped, atmospheres altered. And this is where it gets weird. We're technically due, but not in the way you think. The next eruption isn't expected for hundreds of thousands of years. But expected doesn't mean guaranteed. Because volcanoes don't follow schedules. They follow pressure. So what happens if that pressure reaches its limit today? What happens next changes everything. The moment it begins, you won't see lava. You'll hear it. A deep, violent rupture tearing through the earth. Then a shockwave. And then the sky explodes. But here's the strange part. The deadliest thing won't be fire. It will be ash. Not soft, powdery ash like you imagine. These are microscopic shards of rock. Razor sharp. Superheated. Moving faster than any storm you've ever seen. And once they hit the air, they don't come down quickly. They spread. Fast. Within hours, a massive cloud begins swallowing the sky across North America. Cities go dark in the middle of the day. And this is where it gets terrifying. If you breathe it in, it doesn't just irritate your lungs. It hardens. Mixing with moisture, it forms a cement-like substance inside your body, slowly blocking your ability to breathe. And you wouldn't be able to avoid it, because it would be everywhere. Within 1,000 kilometers, survival becomes nearly impossible. Tens of millions of people gone, not from flames, but from the air itself. But that's not even the craziest part. Even if you're far away, even if you never see the eruption, you're still not safe. Because the ash doesn't stay local. It travels. And what happens next reaches across the entire planet. Within days, the ash cloud stretches across continents. The eastern United States is covered. Canada disappears under a gray layer. Even Europe begins to see traces drifting down from the sky. But here's the strange part. It doesn't take much to cause chaos. Just 1 centimeter of ash can shut down entire cities. Power grids fail. Engines clog. Water systems collapse. And this is where it gets worse. 30 centimeters is enough to collapse roofs. Buildings start caving in under the weight. Infrastructure breaks apart. Communication stops. But that's still not the real disaster. Because while all of this is happening on the ground, something far more dangerous is happening above it. The sky is changing. The ash forms a dense shield around the planet. Sunlight struggles to break through. And suddenly, temperatures begin to fall. Not slightly. Dramatically. Global temperatures drop by up to 10 degrees. And that's when everything changes. Crops fail. Growing seasons vanish. Entire food systems collapse. And here's the twist. You might survive the eruption itself, but you won't escape what comes after. Because the world you knew is gone. And it's only getting colder. Years pass, but the sky never fully clears. This isn't a temporary storm. It's a planetary shift. And this is where it gets truly unsettling. The cooling doesn't just last months. It can last a decade. A volcanic winter. Imagine waking up to weaker sunlight. Shorter summers. Longer, harsher winters. Year after year. And food becomes the most valuable resource on Earth. Entire regions become uninhabitable. Migration begins on a massive scale. Systems collapse not from impact, but from scarcity. But here's the strange part. All of this, from something you'd never even see coming. No warning sirens. No countdown. Just pressure, finally releasing. And yet, despite how catastrophic this sounds, there's something scientists want you to understand. This scenario is incredibly unlikely. And this is where the story flips. Yellowstone isn't actually expected to erupt like this anytime soon. In fact, The kind of eruption we've been talking about is the least likely scenario. Most activity at Yellowstone isn't explosive. It's subtle, controlled, manageable, which raises a new question. If not a super eruption, then what actually happens there? Here's what changes everything. Yellowstone doesn't need to explode to be active. In reality, it's constantly releasing pressure in smaller, quieter ways. Steam eruptions, minor lava flows, shifting erupted beneath your feet. And this is where it gets weird. Since its last massive eruption 600,000 years ago, there have been dozens of smaller events. Nearly 50 lava flows, 0 deaths, completely different from the nightmare scenario you just imagined. So why does the supervolcano idea feel so real? Because it could happen, just not the way people think. And here's the final twist. The real danger isn't just the eruption itself. It's how unprepared we are for low-probability, high-impact events. Because even if Yellowstone never erupts in our lifetime, something else eventually will. Somewhere. At some time. And when it does, the question won't be, can we stop it? It will be, will we see it coming, or will it already be too late? And if something like Yellowstone doesn't erupt tomorrow, what does?